So this is a follow-up video to the one about lusting after teachings on YouTube. And I mentioned that there's lust of the flesh, but there's also mentioned lust of the mind, which I don't know if I've ever heard a teaching on that at all. Now, if you go to the King James in Ephesians 1:22, you'll find it there. So let's have a look there. It says, and hath put all things under his feet, and gave him... Oh, hold on, that's not it. One moment here. It's the next chapter. Right there. 2:3. It's a good start. Okay, so Ephesians 2:3. Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past, meaning behavior. The word conversation in the King James and Shakespearean language means behavior. Among whom also we all had our behavior in times past, in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Okay? So, you see that you've got the, desires of the mind, right, is part of the lust of the flesh. So when you are chasing after teachings, this word applies to it. And this is a very special word. It is, it's from, nous, which is the mind, and dia, which means through. And, but it's a verb. No, it's not a verb. Just a minute. No, it's not a verb, it's a noun. But it's the part of the mind that exercises very deep thought, thorough thought. So when you are trying to understand something, that's dianos. Like, dianoa actually is the word. It's the two separate words are a different gender. Nos becomes noia. So dianoia is a thorough, it's a place in the mind that does the hard thinking, the thorough thinking, all the way through a matter. And that's what I see Christians getting tripped up over, is that they get caught up in the desires of that part of the mind. And they chase after one topic after another, after another, after another. Or they'll go into one topic and then they'll start asking this question, that question, the other question, this possibility, that exception, and all these. That is exercising that part of the mind that we're told here is part of the flesh. The lust of the flesh is exercised through the flesh and through that deep, that penetrating part of the mind. And so that's why I'm constantly frustrated with new Christians who get off into this. And when I try to warn them, and I try to warn them, and I try to warn them, and they don't back off from that, and they keep falling down into that. That's not growing in the faith. It's not. It's not. Growing in persuasion is not solving the puzzles and the riddles and everything else you can imagine that comes up in your mind, and pursuing all of those things, whether they're actual things that happen to you or not. The worst ones that drive me mad are the hypothetical situation. What if? You hear me talking about stop trying to find out how far you can walk, how close to the curb you can walk before you get hit in the head with a mirror, knocked into the road and run over, or slip and run over. Walk in the middle of the sidewalk. Why do you need to do that? It means that you want to sin, because you're asking, how far can I sin before I lose my salvation? See, it's that same issue. And that's what that is about, exploring those hypotheticals. Even if it's a real situation from your past, you need to be careful. not to keep exploring all of those and fulfilling the lust of the flesh through the desires of that deep thinking part of your mind. That doesn't mean that we don't think deeply. We do. But we do it at the appropriate time. It's a controlled time where we are in control of that part of the mind. And we also refrain from doing it as often as is necessary to keep us from falling into the lust of the flesh. This is an issue I can guarantee you've never heard a sermon on before, but it's staring us right here in Scripture, Ephesians 2:3. That's the chapter that we're on in translating. I think we've translated the whole chapter, but we need to work it over a little bit more before we release that. So now you know. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.